Massachusetts health officials announced this week that opioid overdose deaths are down 10% from this time last year. But so far this year, there has still been close to 1,500 overdose deaths in the state. And one community that's been hit especially hard is Medford. As Stephanie Lydon reports, one reason may be related to the way many people in that community earn their paycheck.
I was barely hanging on.
This is an ad that aired on sports radio.
It just seemed like I was working to get high, but I was getting high so I could go to work.
Urging men to get help for addiction.
It was becoming clear to me that I needed help.
After a discovery in Medford.
Electrician.
Of the dozens of overdose deaths here, 75% were men. But when Penelope Faneoli started combing through the city's death records, she discovered something else.
So we're like, wait a minute. There's a lot of people that are working in one particular area.
The vocation listed on the death records of more than half of Medford's overdose victims? The trades. Men who make their living with their hands, building, fixing, reinforcing, are also dying. Faneoli and her team of public health researchers found the same trend in 5 other nearby communities: Malden, Melrose, Stoneham, Wakefield, and Reading, where 42% of overdose deaths were among men who worked in the trades.
Are the people on the job site necessarily the ones who are overdosing and dying? I don't know. That may just be their most recent occupation.
But when the team visited job sites, they got feedback that suggests construction workers may be vulnerable to addiction because they get hurt on the job and then get hooked on painkillers.
They're getting a prescription. The intent is to nullify the pain, and these drugs are very powerful, and they can really take over your sort of operations in your brain.
Joe Blade says he came to the job already addicted.
I mean, I had been using drugs since I was 15, 16 years old.
Growing up in Melrose, Blades hit his teens just as opioid painkillers hit the streets in the late 90s and early 2000s. He says he became a pipe fitter in part because he knew he'd make enough money to buy drugs. But eventually, he got caught.
I failed on a drug test. And if I didn't fail on that drug test, I don't think that I would have gotten the help that I needed.
His union got him into treatment, and he's been sober 7 years.
I'm one of those success stories that doesn't happen for everybody.
Blades makes a distinction the death records fail to capture. Bigger jobs have built-in safeguards, the kind that caught his addiction. Then there's the smaller ones that offer easy money with little oversight.
Pay me $200, and then that's all I need for whatever I need to do.
Oh, so for people already struggling with drug addiction, this kind of work might be appealing because they get paid in cash.
Yeah.
But he says on any job, the instinct is to hide a drug problem, not ask for help. How to get beyond the stigma? The public health team hopes a radio ad might turn a commute.
You don't want them to lose their job. You want them to keep it.
Into a life-saving conversation.
Recovery starts with one person helping another.
Hey, Stephanie, how are you?
Hey, Jim.
What's the industry's reaction to all this?
Well, I did talk with the head of the local pipe fitters union, and he says he doesn't think that the opioid epidemic is any more manifest in the construction world than any other industry. He made 2 points that I think are worth repeating. One is that in these bigger union jobs, there are safeguards. And so the construction world it's a big umbrella term for a lot of different kind of work. And secondly, he's concerned that 42% number could be misinterpreted. It is not 42% of all construction workers are dying of opioid overdoses. It's in these 6 communities. Of the people who died, 42%.
Well, that leads to my next question. This research is limited to 6 communities. Is there any evidence that this pattern extends itself in the same way in a wider?
There's not. It appears that this was the first research of its kind. It was funded with a state grant, and there's a group in these communities called the Mystic Valley Public Health Coalition. Since their research has come out, they have heard from other agencies interested in doing similar research in their communities.
I'm afraid to ask, any evidence about ages of those who were?
Joe Blades, the pipe fitter you met in this piece, 33 years old, was typical. It's men about that age who came of age when opioids, both as prescriptions and as party drugs, became available.
Stephanie Lydon, thanks so much. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.